Green.
Xander Bischoff.
Eric Dutton.
Owen Siders.
Jennifer Strawman.
Oh. Janet Rose.
Sean Collars.
Sheena Van Meter.
Melvin Shook.
Dixie D.
Doug.
Okay, welcome everyone. All right, first up is a presentation from the Oldfields, I like your shirt. Is that
Hello, everybody. My name is Eric Duncan. I'm a development manager with Emanate Energy. We are the sponsor of the Oldfield Solar Project, which I'm sure many of you, if not all of you, are familiar with. We appreciate the opportunity to come in and talk to the board, present some of the project information and facts related to the project. Because the Board of Education will be a big beneficiary, so it's something we're trying to talk about.
I apologize, we're having technical difficulties with our camera. I just need to get to this for a second. One second, I don't want anyone to think we're.
put a broken sign on it? No? Is it not on, Sean?
No.
It looked like when you tilted it towards you, there was a green light underneath it, which would make me think that maybe not.
Maybe if you just put a second, and just keep on going.
Can you unplug it?
Is this-
Plug it in again?
This thing working? Remember it wasn't working before?
It was already.
It was, yeah, we had it all earlier. We just didn't
Yeah,
want to.
there's a green light on the side right there.
Well, let's unplug that and try that again. And where did that little guy go to? Oh, there we go. Okay. Turn green.
Eyes are on.
Okay.
Red, yellow flag.
It's gonna do its hoo-hoo thing and then we'll be all right. Is it that
He
thing?
said it turned
Turn it
off.
off.
It's that daggone thing. Is it lit up muted?
I see the mute sign lit up in red, but I don't know what that.
You want me to get the other one?
Now
Turn it
it's
off
off.
again.
Yeah, would you? Yeah, we're just gonna switch cords. You can go ahead. We're live. It's just their view's funny. Yep, go right ahead. You're fine.
Yes. Good.
I'm Xander Bischoff. I work with Eric on the regular basis to support him in community engagement work.
Introduce Mary Green. She's an outreach coordinator for us, based in Charleston. So a lot of you probably have heard of the solar project. I'm going to flip over to the next one. So right now, our currently proposed project, although we're going to pivot here pretty soon with a new kind of form of a project, which I'll get into after this. But so the originally proposed project was up to a 250 megawatt project across. We leased roughly 3,000 acres, but the project footprint would be about 1,500. This project would tap the 500 kV line that runs across the project area to kind of regionally serve. Something that we are going to do here in the near future, working out the details this week, based on some recent results from PJM and some time delays associated with getting to construction and operations. We have the opportunity to pivot, which also will serve Moorefield in the greater county. So what we're going to do is what we're working towards is basically reducing the footprint. There's been some other changes with some landowner property, et cetera, that's reducing our footprint. Also, we're going to tap the 138 kV line that runs north to south through the project. What this does is terminates in Hardy, the Hardy substation, which is in Moorefield. So essentially, all the energy produced from our project will be serving Moorefield in the regional grid. So Hardy County has roughly 7,500 residential occupants or residential houses, apartments, et cetera. This would essentially serve the entire residential community of Hardy County and beyond into adjacent communities. So that's what's ends up going to change. So rather than 500, we're going to 138. The project will likely be a fractional. It will be reduced, somewhere in the neighborhood of 25 to 40 megawatts, and then the footprint itself also gets reduced. So this is in the works. We'll message this on our Facebook page and our website as soon as we get all the details nailed down, which hopefully will be early next week.
If I could just add, we've done had a lot of conversations with leaders and folks in the area, in the county, to solicit feedback about the project, share information. And so, we want everyone's feedback to make sure we're designing as beneficial a project as we can. That's already led to certain changes in the project. For example, we removed an array that was close to the Bethany Web neighborhood as a result of those interactions. So just want to highlight, we're having a lot of these conversations, and one of the goals, in addition to providing you and others with information, is to get your feedback, and we do take it into account.
So the way this will kind of pivot into the new project is we'll update our project information, relay that to on our Facebook and to other stakeholders and so on. And then that becomes the new form or the new face of the project. With that, certain facts change in our informational sheet, so we'll update all that information and kind of disseminate that to the community.
And there's a project website and a Facebook page that we're using to get that information out.
The schedule generally stays the same. One of the problems that we had with the previous project, or the POI specifically, is kind of the time to get to COD, which is commercial operations. The timeline that PJM allocated was significant. It was over a couple of years to get the POI built and get the tap onto the line. So by pivoting to the new transmission line, we keep our schedule essentially the same, but provide better community support from our project. So right now, we're still looking at filing our PSC application in the second quarter of 2026. This will set it up for a potential approval by the end of the year. And then construction would begin somewhere in the beginning of 28 and be done by 29, early 23. You want to go ahead and get this in?
Yeah, so the project would, again, it's a bit of a moving target, but we'd probably be investing something like $400 million to build this project. That would come with some benefits to the community in the form of property tax payments, which would go to the school board and the county in particular. Something on the order of around $10 million over the first 20 years and then more payments thereafter. Again, a bit of a moving target with the project redesign. The other, benefit we'd like to highlight is job creation. We're looking at something like 300 construction jobs while the project is being built. Somewhere on the order of an 18-month construction timeline. And then around 9 or 10 local jobs during the operational period. That includes, project technicians, it includes vegetation management and module washing crews, pest control, and other ancillary staff. We're going to aim to hire locally wherever feasible. We have a strong incentive to do that. And so we're already receiving inquiries from folks who've heard about the project, which we're really excited about. And when we move to, the construction phase, well in advance of that, we would be, pushing out information that we're going to hire. We're posting about the job opportunities locally. So we hope to get as much, local workers as feasible. And we're, as part of that, looking to partner with local education. And that'll come a bit later when we get closer to that construction window, but that could be everything from, STEM education to partnering with the local community college and so forth. So we're excited for that.
Yeah, and at the beginning of the conversation, I mentioned the Board of Education being the beneficiary for the project. By chance, the project proceeds forward. The way our project works is we'll get a power purchase agreement for 15 to 20 years. That essentially guarantees the project is going to be operating 15 to 20 years. And then in turn, if we get a pilot agreement, a lot of that money ends up going to the Board of Education. On top of that, like Xander mentioned, opportunities to coordinate and work with the school system, which we talked about potential solar at the facilities itself. I just came across an article today where there's a fund set up to help schools get solar, help schools get solar for their facilities. That's something that I'll pass on once I do a little bit more research on it. But there's an opportunity for us to kind of work together and kind of bridge a cooperative type of situation. And we'll be here for guaranteed 20 years at least. Our agreements go for well beyond that. And essentially what we would do is for the rest of the term of the project. So it just kind of recycles back into another 20 years. So we know agriculture is very important for the community, and we are trying to implement certain things on our project that help facilitate agriculture with our landowners. We're working with a group right now called United Agrivoltaics. They're putting together a concept grazing plan for us, which would essentially look just like this in the background picture. They are farmers themselves. Some of them are local. They would essentially manage our facilities for us. The concept will change as the project takes different form, but essentially this is what we're looking at, and this is something we'll talk about later.
Yeah, just to add a little bit more there, so that, this consultant we're working with would come in and sort of manage vegetation at the project, and they would leverage sheep to graze the project where feasible. And so that's kind of the picture that you're seeing here, and we're talking with local farmers and connecting them with the consultant. And so the hope is to use local sheep to keep the vegetation in check across the project footprint.
Yeah, and moving on kind of clockwise, this project, the way it's situated in Oldfield, there's a lot of topography, a lot of vegetation, and very few residents. We know there is a community in the Becky Webb subdivision, which is the primary kind of residential area. We've already implemented setbacks to help facilitate aesthetic, although it probably will not resolve some of the concern. We're well beyond kind of industry standards. We're looking at already 150 feet from the fence line or from the property line. And typically, you're looking at somewhere neighborhood of 50 to 100. But with topography and vegetation and the rolling terrain, a lot of that visual screening is already implemented by using topography and vegetation. So that will help facilitate kind of blocking out the project for a good portion of the site itself.
What we do with the sheep in the winter time, where's the grass?
They move into different locations.
So they'll be handling the grass throughout the year, no hay, no grain.
Yeah, that's the intent. We're still drafting it, the grazing plan as we speak. But there's local farmers, one in Berkeley County has 4,000 sheep. Another gentleman in Green County seems to be willing to help us to just continue to cycle them through.
So you already have someone who's willing to, but to say that there's not many sheep growers anymore in Hardin County.
No, but he knows better than I do. But there are people interested. We're actually going to meet with some of them on Wednesday.
So there'll be fence around.
Yeah, think about it like. Let me get back to you. Yeah, so we have, our array is kind of spread around. We'll have different arrays and we'll have a fence around that array. So then there'll be kind of areas that don't have any facilities in them that will remain open to the landowner. But within the fence line, they'll be able to move them from array to array to array.
What kind of fence? Stencil or?
It's going to mention that in the next
Okay.
thing, but it's what we call ag style fence. It's 8 feet, similar to what you put in your categories. Let me get to the next.
Yeah, just on the kind of leveraging the existing landscape where we can, but there are going to be places where we intend to plant, vegetative screening to help to sort of mitigate concerns about visual impacts as well, in addition to kind of using the landscape where we can.
Will you allow beekeepers to set up hives?
It really is dependent on the landowner allowing them. I mean, that's a component that we always discuss and always consider. But really, if it's not within our fence line, it would have to be agreed upon by the landowner. But
If you're planting the pollinators, let the bees get,
yeah,
make
these are
sure
a
the
very
bees are,
important part of that.
absolutely.
Yeah, that was one thing that we really did discuss. So the pollinator and native seed is another aspect that we're really pushing on this project, just to fit into the local kind of environment. we have a local consultant, in Charleston that's already put together, an extensive or conceptual plan for us. That basically covers the entire project area. Something else that we'll work with our landowners on, but hopefully that on top of the grazing plan, on top of other aspects that we were considering, will all kind of help facilitate the agricultural environment that this historically been. Decommissioning, another kind of subject that comes up quite often. As part of the Public Service Commission requirements, applicant us would have to put together a decommissioning plan and bond. That has to go through the Division of Environmental Protection, DEP. They manage, oversee, and administer the bond. What happens, we as an engineer comes in and assesses the facility and the,
that's the cost that it would take to decommission the project,
and there,
and any salvage value attributable to the project. And then based on that, they say this is the amount of money that you really need to decommission the project, and we have to post a bond or some other form of financial security to make sure that something happens to us, there's enough money in place that can be accessed to decommission the project. And that amount has to be updated every 5 years. So the idea is over time, it continues to be the relevant amount needed to decommission the project should something go wrong.
yeah, the intent behind that is, say something happens to M&A, for some reason to go bankrupt, that money would be set aside to be able to facilitate the removal of the facility from the project, landowner property. We also have a secondary component in our landowner agreements that also allow for decommissioning and have a bond set up associated with that as well.
And this is at the end of 20 years.
Well, the decommissioning, like something could happen to the project hypothetically at any point. Let's just say something happens to M&A. That project likely is just going to be bought by somebody and operated continually through the power purchase agreement back. But let's say none of that happens. There's money set aside to physically remove the facilities from the property.
And so the way it generally works is a certain amount of time after the project stops operating, it has to be decommissioned. And so were we to go away and no one were to come in and buy the project for some reason, then, at that point in time, the money would be used to decommission the project. And when you think of decommissioning, we're not pouring large amounts of concrete. What we're talking about is really I-beams being driven into the ground on which the solar panels rest. And so generally we're going to come pull out those I-beams and the land, will be restored to substantially the same condition it was before we came in. And so it's not like a warehouse where, once you pour a slab, it's kind of hard to reclaim the land. This is minimal, impact to the land in that sense.
How are you gonna keep the coyotes from eating the sheep?
Good question. I think that's all we'll be assessing our conceptual.
Get some of those big dogs. They break dogs.
I think DJ's gonna be out there chasing them.
Okay.
Decommission, you leave the I-beams where you found them, I'll take care of that, don't you worry about that. Donkeys is what most farmers are gonna tell you, as Mr. Hines kind of joked, I probably would be the sheep expert, unfortunately, in this little group. Donkeys are huge, you got people like Josh that'll come shoot them upside the head if you allow him. I'd be more worried about bears than I would coyotes, Miss Rose. And I addressed that at one of the meetings they had at the college. I told them the bear will climb that 8-foot fence like it's a joke.
Oh,
The coyotes don't worry me a bit, but boo-boo,
Yeah.
it's gonna be a problem.
One of the other kind of components of kind of this agrivoltaics, which is kind of the terminology that's being used now across the industry, is we're trying to collaborate with West Virginia University. We're getting closer to having a partnership with them. But really what we're trying to do is incorporate W into reviewing our information, and really letting them facilitate where this needs to go. It's a subject matter that's really being pushed nationally, and having W on board would be a very big benefit to us. We think we're getting closer, and hopefully we'll have that kind of wrapped up in the next few weeks.
And that's everything from, the grazing to the plantings, to make sure we're using local plantings that are likely to be successful habitats for different species, to vegetation, kind of vegetative screening that I was mentioning. So really going to consult on all of the above, given their local expertise.
Any other questions on that? You feel free.
Yeah, just-
I do a lot better with questions and answers than I do standing behind a podium, so.
Yeah, so Eric alluded to this, but one thing that we will be seeking is what's called a payment in lieu of tax or pilot agreement. The reason for that is, this project, as Eric said, is gonna really be competing in what's called PJM, which is the regional grid. And to compete in the regional grid, we have to be able to offer cost-effective electricity and heat other solar projects in Pennsylvania and Ohio, et cetera. And one of the, things that make it hard to compete as a West Virginia solar project is the property taxes that are assessed on projects like ours. So we're seeking a Philippine tax agreement, which would, do two things, I think. One is really create a predictable set of property taxes for us and for you all in the county. In that, with a pilot agreement, you're saying this is gonna be the amount of property taxes we're gonna pay for the duration of the agreement. We're looking for a 20-year agreement in our case. And so you'd be saying, hey, in year one, we're gonna be paying X $100,000, in year two, Y, et cetera, and so forth. So it's predictable, and you can negotiate a rate that works for both sides. And so the signatories to a pilot agreement would be the Board of Education and the county. And so, we wanted to use this opportunity to introduce the project and kind of start the conversation. We've had this conversation in smaller groups, but really wanted to just open it up to say this is something, that we will be seeking, and we want to make sure we're crafting an agreement that is a win-win for everyone. And so that achieves the county's goals and achieves the Board of Education's goals. And so, there are a few ways, a few levers that we have to do that. One is how much money goes into the agreement. And again, what we're trying to do here is find a number that, is very beneficial to the county and the Board of Education, but also allows us to compete in the region. And we've sort of identified a number in the several $100,000 range that we think would do that. And then the other is kind of figuring out how this money should be used. And so one version of this is we just sign a pilot agreement, and that gets dispersed per the usual process, through the sheriff's office, where, X% is allocated to the schools, Y% to the county. But there's also the opportunity to set up a community benefit fund where we can sign an agreement with the Board of Education and or the county, or both, which would allow for funds to be used in a more targeted way. Eric's example was, whether we can support solar at the schools. Another, conversation we've had is, the need for EMS services in the western side of the county. The nice thing about a community benefit fund is you can structure it in such a way that it can be targeted and used in the way that is most effective for the county. The other nice thing that I'll flag, which is just our understanding, is that the community benefit funds would not impact the school formula funding. So I think, as I understand it, if we sign a pilot agreement, the amount of property taxes that the county is receiving increases commensurate with their share of those payments. But then you may lose some money from the state through the formula funding. Whereas if we were to sponsor a solar project or EMS or something else, that would not hit the formula funding arrangements.
That's right.
As we understand, I know the schools, you all were going to look into that. But,
You're correct on that. Yeah.
You're correct on that. Yeah. So that's another thing I think that's attractive for the Board of Education. So we, have not determined, exactly where those all going to land. I think from our perspective, it's a conversation where we want feedback in terms of how these dollars can be used most effectively to the community's needs. And so, this is from our perspective, the start of the conversation. We're really hoping to get feedback from everyone on what's the best outcome here.
You said there'd be, it's a 20-year pilot agreement, so does that mean that everybody would get a payment every year for 20 years?
Yes. Yep. It'd be an annual payment, call it something like $400,000, for example, through the pilot every year. And the nice thing about pilot is you can structure it to increase over time and decrease over time. Generally, property taxes would otherwise decrease over time because as the project, the personal property value appreciates.
Yeah.
But a pilot, we could structure the increase over time and you know the exact number each year and you can kind of budget around it.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're saying all the money is filtered through the county, the county commission?
Well, so the pilot payments would be dispersed in the same way that typical property taxes are. So I think it's maybe 70% to the Board of Education, 30% somewhere in that ballpark. The community benefit fund, we could have a single fund that is dispersed,
Just ours.
just the Board of Education, just the county, administered by both. We're kind of open to what that should look like.
One of the, in our initial conversation, we heard the significant need for EMS services. That's why we kind of started directing the potential community fund in that direction, the western part of the county. But there's other opportunities. We're in no way final. There's opportunities to continue to guide it to wherever the community sees fit or the county sees fit.
Who makes that decision?
Really, it's between, I think, us, the Board of Education, and the county. So we want.
When you say the county? you
County
mean-
commission.
County commission, yes.
Has the county commission signed the pilot agreement yet?
No. We just initially started talking to them this summer. There's been some discussion on the form, but otherwise we're still in discussion.
Because I think there've been projects before that where payment was made in lieu of taxes, and to my knowledge, I don't think the board ever got any of that money. Not
As far as in the county.
It all went to the county.
Yeah, the way, our understanding of the way it's structured, like Sandra said, 70% would be directed to me.
I think that's the way it's supposed to go, but I don't think that it's been done that way.
I know one instance in particular here in the county where the state kind of managed it and not the county. And I'm not sure if maybe that's the instance that you're referring to.
Well, we could get messed over again, I mean, it's like,
This specifically lays out the terms and where it goes.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
It's not a
Even-
situation where you're just given a check and it just
Okay.
somehow magically makes it back to you. It's specifically written
okay.
into the document.
Because, I mean, if you look at a dollar bill and think that, well, 70 cents goes to the school system, it seems like an awful lot of money, but when you have all the children and all the facilities and everything that we have, it's not a lot of money. I've talked with you guys before, we really don't have the money, and it's a tough situation.
And Eric, I think that, early on, when you and I were working together in conversation with the county, we didn't really thoroughly understand the school aid formula and,
Right.
and what that would do to your budget.
Right.
So that was something that we learned after we kind of got down the conversation more about emergency services. So,
Yeah.
If you don't mind me just calling Sarah out, do you want to just explain how that works if we use the typical pilot and how it offsets so the board understands it?
With the state aid formula?
Yeah.
So the
yeah.
state aid funding formula, it's like a 10-step process where they look at personnel, they look at transportation, and what we should be funded on each of those. And then towards the end of it, in like step 8, it takes into account real estate taxes that we're going to receive to get what we will actually be, the difference that we will be funded by the state. Then after that, it subtracts any payment in lieu off of that. So, I mean, we wouldn't really gain anything by pilot payment.
Once they
It would
determine
zero
how
out.
much we need to operate,
It would
they
zero
take
out.
into consideration what we're getting locally. So we wouldn't really get
But
anything.
have they, I don't think they've withheld any funds before.
No, there have been
because of
previous
that-
arrangements made, and we can share with you at some point, but not in this manner. But if it's in their agreement, they'll have to
Mhm.
consider it. Yeah, would
So
have to.
that's where we think.
we
the
appreciate
community
that.
benefit fund could be a real
Yes.
valuable option.
I think that's best for us.
Direct monies to whatever is most needed.
Yeah.
And but over whatever time frame it's needed, right? If
Yeah.
you say it's for 20 years, consistent payments to that's an option. If you said, we need to buy buses today, we can kind of pull forward those payments and do something one time or sort of load it towards the front end. There's really a lot of flexibility, and so.
We appreciate that.
I mean, as far as project development and trying to get the project on the ground, we won't have the biggest impact possible, right? As far as community
Right.
advancement. And so we're happy to direct it however we can. Ultimately, it comes down to the county commission and you guys saying we agree on.
This is what we want. Right.
So
Great.
you're saying the county commission would have to agree on the terms of that then?
Ultimately, we need a pilot agreement, and our desired outcome is that both the county commission and the board of education would be signatories to that agreement.
We
And so
both
we
have
sort of need to figure out between the three parties what is best for everyone that everyone can agree to.
So they can't proceed with anything without our signature and vice versa. We all have to kind of,
It's been done in other cases, but our very strong preference is that we have both signatures.
which is good.
Well, certainly it's better if we can all agree
Right.
and, have an agreement of how any funds, would come.
We completely agree with that.
The computer went off, but I think we were at the end of our presentation anyway. Any other questions that we can answer for you guys?
So you said that we're gonna head on to, is it the north-south, transmission line or the east-west?
It's the north-south. It basically runs for a place called Junction to Hardy Substation. South of
Okay, because that's the one you didn't think you'd be able
Yeah,
to tap into.
Yeah, exactly. When we
Yeah.
originally looked at the project and given the size and scope of what we were looking at, it didn't have any capacity. PJM fluctuates often.
Sure,
And when we got our results back from what we call decision point one, it says here's how much it's gonna cost, here's your timeline as far as getting it built and being able to tap on, so to speak. I asked our interconnect guy to kind of look into it again. He's like, no, it's changed. There's plenty of room for us. So we think it's a better move. And we keep the same schedule. We lighten some of the load as far as what we have to build for PJM or Potomac Edison. And we serve the community. So the hope is, we'll be able to facilitate that through the course and have the same schedule as what we currently propose.
When could we possibly start seeing the revenue
It would be
from this project?
essentially 1 year after.
So not 2029.
Well,
If the project is to be complete in 2028, we're looking at
It's the
2029.
first taxing.
but for the pilot, yes. For the community development fund, there's a little bit more flexibility. We wouldn't generally make any payments before we knew we were proceeding with construction, which would be starting in 2028. But, I think we're open to those conversations. The sooner the money comes, the less money we can pay just because of how it affects project economics. But we're open to timing and the number of payments. And if less money sooner is more impactful than, more money over a longer period, I think that's a conversation.
What does the general public's attitude seem to be?
Well, I think I'll just say it's mixed. There definitely seems to be some folks opposed to it. Hopefully we can continue to work with them, provide facts and meet with them individually or even in small groups. And hopefully they'll start seeing the benefits and the less, they think that project is going to be significantly impactful right now. And once we present the facts and get the messaging out, some of that will kind of subdue.
Yeah, and I think what I'd add there is, when we've gone through this process in other, rural communities where solar is a new type of development, there's a lot of questions and concerns, which we completely understand. And so our job is really to engage with those questions and concerns, get as much information as possible, and, alleviate the concerns that we can, which often just results from not having information. And so we're trying to do that. We had our first open house with the sort of nearby project neighbors at the community college in around middle of November. And that was well attended, and kind of what we found is over the course of that hour and a half or so, a lot of people kind of were able to get their questions answered, and not everyone left saying we want the project, but it goes a long way. We also have a Facebook page, we have a project website, we'll have additional open houses, and really our goal is to just
What is your
answer
Facebook
questions.
page?
Our okay, I'm gonna get that for you here in a second. I have to look it up because I don't have it off the top of my head. It's Oldfield Solar, West Virginia. But let me just confirm that while you all talk and I'll, yeah.
Okay.
Right, so, you know, what we find though is, you know, as that information is provided, it can address a lot of the concerns that people have, but there's always gonna be people who say, I don't wanna look at it. And, you know, we're doing what we can to mitigate visual impacts in that example, but not everyone's gonna be supportive, so.
You never get everybody to agree
Well,
to
that's right.
anything, so.
That's right, yeah.
If we can get the mass to understand the facts, that helps facilitate the conversations moving forward.
And we also need to make the case for the benefits to the county. So there's the jobs that we talked about, and then there's the property taxes and the community fund. And so we're hopeful that, you know, we can find something that is really valuable for everyone and we can make the case.
We were gonna have another open house this week, but due to timing, we heard that it wasn't probably the best time, so we're gonna shift that to the beginning of the year. So we'll periodically have a different open houses periodically. We're also doing some other, my colleague and myself are gonna try to meet with as many people as we possibly can in the next few months. But we're also engaged with another firm that does visual simulations and animations. The technology is quite interesting, and we'll be putting that on our website when available. And that helps people visualize what it will actually look at. Unfortunately, there's a lot of misinformation already being passed around on what the project's gonna look like and the impacts, and so it's on us to mitigate that and provide project facts.
Well, that always goes along with anything you want to do.
Yes.
And the answer to it's Oldfield Solar. The three separate words.
Miss
And-
Rose, I done sent you an invite to it while she was looking at it.
Oh, thank you so much. There you go. But, you know, going back to and so Eric and Xander shared that my role is to give them support in the community and do community outreach. If it's not found on our Facebook page or the project website, for example, photographs, chances are it's not a legitimate picture. So and a lot of the things that is being thrown out into the public arena right now is things that may have been pulled from practices years ago or may not even be something that relates to this project. So we want to make certain that if there are concerns, questions, we're more than happy, as Eric said, to sit down and talk with folks. You know, whether it's one-to-one or in small group settings, we'll be having the open houses, but also I'm going to stick around until the end of your meeting. So if you have questions, I'll also give you my business card. But we encourage, we want to talk to people, and I always say the good, bad, and indifferent. But and we want to do the right thing. We understand it's a new form of energy, and people have questions, which is good. We want to be able to answer those.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I'm gonna leave a stack of business cards for you guys. If anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out. I live pretty close and can be over here within an hour. Happy to meet with people. And if you know people that are opposed that want more information, I'm happy to meet with them as well. So just let us know.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you very much.
And I'll make sure that as we move forward, now that we've had a chance to meet with the school board members, when I send information, superintendent, ask you if you could
Share
push
with
it out
them.
to
Sure.
everybody, because we'll get an updated fact sheet that has information about the new line and the size and the timeline and things.
Yeah, that'll be great. I'll share with them.
She just point of clarification. I don't know if I said East Hardy or West Hardy. but-
No, I think you
said
said west,
Yeah,
and I
we're
said
with
that that's
the EMS,
us.
yeah, that's right. The EMS component of that was to help facilitate EMS services in the western part of the county. We've heard that East Hardy has a pretty good program and didn't necessarily need help, but, so we were gonna focus on trying to help facilitate those services in the west.
Thank you. Wes.
Maybe the last thing I'll just say, since it's the Board of Education, I could give you a homework assignment. If you think about, what you think would be the most useful use of the dollars that are going either to the pilot or to the benefit fund. And, once you've had a chance to think that through, would love all the feedback we can get. As I said, it's kind of a three-party agreement that we want to get to between us, you all, and the county commission. And so, need your help to get the right answer.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Again, for my comment a minute ago, we want to provide the biggest support we can, or the biggest benefit we can, and we need the folks in the community to tell us where to direct us.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank
so
you all.
much.
Thank you all.
Thanks.
Appreciate you all.
Okay, next item is Josh, maintenance and transportation updates.
I promise I won't be as long as those guys were. So over the last 30 days, and that number's skewed because they do throw in holidays and weekend days into that. We've closed out 60 work orders over those last 30 days, which in actuality was 17 work days. We were 80% reactive in those 7 days, within 7 days. But we were kind of skewed again by some of the older work orders. There's quite a few work orders out there that involve lighting that we decided we were not going to purchase new lighting because of the contractors that are coming through. It didn't make sense to purchase new lights, fluorescent lights, and then that outfit come in and take them out in a couple of months and put LEDs in. We have the roof leak at Moorfield High School. We have learned over time that has been ongoing since the day of the build. The metal on the outside is rain water resistant. It's not waterproof. The lining on the inside is not water resistant or waterproof at all. It's more like a sponge. There was not a liner or any type of separation that was put in between that metal and that sheeting that's there. It's not the builder's fault, the contractor's fault. It's a architectural and engineer fault on the entire thing. They came in, they tried a couple things. We boiled it down to those two. So I've asked Height Roofing, it's their metal, to come up with a quote for us and see what something like that would cost. We'll see where the numbers go, and we'll reach out to some other metal people and see what it's going to be. Because if not, it's just going to keep leaking over time. It's progressively getting worse. It's just running that main beam. It's going from Miss Jackie C's room all the way into the admin offices. And it doesn't matter what we do, it's just going to keep coming. So we'll get that figured out. Another one that's long-term is the concession stand window over at East Hardy High School. From what it looks like, they're hitting that fire release in there. They're not using the chain to work it down. Somebody's hit it, it's came down, and it's popped out all the screws and all the rivets. We had to find another contractor for that. They are based out of Charleston. They don't want to come up into this area until they had another job. They did tell me that they will be here sometime in early December, so hopefully before the first basketball game, we can get that window fixed for them. We do have a vendor packet. We've already got a PO in place. They've already given us an estimate. I sent them videos, pictures, things like that. So hopefully those guys will be able to come in and knock that out. And that's on the work order side of things.
What is the estimate?
$1,453. Or we buy a new one for $8,000 or $9,000. Round up, I think 1453 is a lot better number. Monday morning when I was sitting in the tree stand with my daughter, I got a phone call from the town office. Doug Mungo called and said that we had a water leak at Moorfield High School. We were losing 400 gallons of water an hour. So I called the troops. Some of the guys were working. They came in. They located the water leak. It was in between the meter and the weight room. When they hooked up to the meter, when they built that building back in 2000, they used 1/2-inch copper line underground. It was 4 feet deep. It was smashed flat, both horizontally and vertically, and was spewing water everywhere. I told them to stand by. I'd be in this morning. I came over, I assessed it. I called Tri-County Tools. We got a mini hoe in here. We were able to fix it. We got it back up, and she was able to finish out the day with water out in the weight room. So we did get that one behind. But Marty did call me today and asked me where we had a leak at Moorfield High School, so you are going to see it in the building when you come. But we shut it down as soon as the town informed us where it was. It was not in the location. It was, you guys know, or Mr. Hines, the brown building that's between the weight room. It was in that grassy area behind it, next to that fence. So it wasn't an area that somebody would want to see it. That meter's behind that concession stand, and it runs into the back door where the restrooms are for the public. But it's fixed and it's all good to go. But that dollar bill is going to be a little bit high.
Want the town, have you talked to the town?
I have not. I was going to tomorrow because it was later part of the day today, and I was going to call Doug and then maybe go and see him in the office.
They usually take a lot of the water off.
Well, especially the sewer part.
Yeah.
Yeah, the sewer is just a times two on yeah. The SBA, so Dr. Van Meter and I went down, we met with the SBA, on the SBA portion of it. We went in and we were asking again, I think I touched on this over the phone with you guys when we left the meeting down there. The flooring at the auxiliary gym, at Moorfield Elementary School, and a upgrade to the elevator at East Hardy Elementary School. Feel really comfortable, felt great. They've called me back. We've changed some numbers around, some things that we can eliminate to make those numbers look better for them. We do not have a decision on that yet, but I do feel quite confident that that money will come. I think Dr. Van Meer's probably in agreement with me on that.
That's pretty good.
Don't cross your fingers yet, but I do feel better about this one than I did the other two. So we also met with Allegra from ZMM, and we were talking about the design for the upcoming for this summer for Moorfield Middle School's secure entrance, as well as their doors and windows. So with the scope of those two different kinds of work, we were going to try to see if we could figure out a way that we could get two different contractors, because you have with building the building and then a door contractor, we could possibly eliminate it, knock out, because the door doesn't need any of the design. It's just come in, swap out, paint doors, change out things like that. So we're trying that part. While we were in there with her, we also talked about, I'm jumping all around, I wrote my notes all over the place. We have 2 units. So Moorfield Middle School is complete, but there's 2 units in the locker rooms that they missed. So with the money that's left over, we still think we have enough money that is left to be able to purchase and hook it into the actual units, rather than putting split units in, to actually hook it into the loop and get heat and air conditioning into those locker rooms. When Moorfield Middle School was built previously, it only had heat, it did not have air. So if we can get it into the loop, we can eliminate putting something like this in there, we can get it built into the loop and it's there. Along with that, there's still enough money left that I think when you guys went to the meeting up at the library, up there, how clean Moorfield Middle School looked just with the ceiling tiles being replaced, that we wanted to see, once we got the pricing on those 2 units, if there was enough money left, that we could go into the classrooms and swap out those ceiling tiles in there as well. I think it would be great. The money's there. We need to use it. Let's use it. And if they can do it, we would be in much better shape. Over to ESG. So ESG has started. They came in prior to Thanksgiving week, the week before. I wanted them to start at East Hardy Elementary School. East Hardy Elementary School is where we were having most of the lighting problems. It's the oldest building. They got their electrical contractors in there. They've already swapped out all interior and exterior non-LED lights and made them all LED. They are now currently up at East Hardy High School, and they've started on East Hardy High School. They started there today. They did not work Friday. They finished East Hardy Elementary School on Wednesday, so today was their first day at the high school. Along with that, there was 3 different entities that came and showed up today. They are on site today. They are with ESG. It's the Water Conservation Group, the Building Envelope Group, and then Solar Engineers all showed up today. So those guys are moving a lot faster. I was under the assumption that it was going to be mid-December. They were here mid-November, and they're already starting to knock things out. And so once they started at East Hardy, I told them, let's just knock out East Hardy, then we'll come over to this side. We're going to go to the Hill campus, the middle school and the intermediate school, and then we'll come down to downtown and we'll knock out the high school and the elementary school. They got 3 big connexes. A lot of people have asked me, that's just their storage area out here in the bus area. So if you see 3 big connexes, it's just storage for all the lighting and those type things for those contractors. It was a lot, but it was quicker than the solar people.
I won't tell you something.
Any questions on that? On the transportation side, I was able to catch the tail end of your meeting the other day, and just kind of waiting on you guys to let me know if we can get some buses ordered and brought in on the transportation piece.
What bus are you requesting, Josh? We had 3 estimates in there.
Yeah. So I think we'll go with as many 77s as we can get, but I definitely have to have one handicap. I have to. We've got those 2 students. 55 is just, she's on her last leg. And that's all we have. We've already had to borrow for one day, Grant County bus, which was not the best bus I've ever been on. Yeah, so, I mean, I was grateful that we got the bus, but it's not something that we want to purchase from them. And I've asked, we had the transportation conference 2 weeks ago, and there's no way that you're really getting rid of handicap buses at the time that we want to purchase. It just, I think it'd be more of a headache than anything.
So bus 50, you said was in the accident, was total, did you say that? Did I?
Total? No, but you might as well call it total. The estimate that we got back was $15,000 to $20,000 fixed just from the pictures and the videos that I sent them of the damage. I took some particulars down. It's a 2010, so it's already been out of the funding formula for 3 years. Next year will be the 4th year, and it's got 130,000 miles on it. We're already over our 30% in the fleet. I was hoping, fingers crossed, that we would go with purchasing more buses this year, which made that removal of buses a larger gap, and 50 was just going to be one of those. It didn't make sense to me to spend $15,000 to $20,000 on a bus, use it for 1 or 2 years as a spare, and then try to sell it for $3,000 or $4,000. It just monetarily didn't make sense. So we just decided, let's just decommission her, let's let her sit there, and then.
So you didn't file an insurance claim or anything?
No, I sent it, and beforehand, it just got what would it cost? It was structural damage, so we can't fix it locally. It has to go back to Pittsburgh and be fixed at Blueberry. Yeah.
So is that the bus that did the tree?
I was a sub bus driver.
Yes.
I see this really isn't on you, Josh.
I'll try.
But I see here, that, the cameras are out in the library hall and the custodian hall, and have been out since November 13th. And I know we've
Which
had
building?
holidays and stuff. It's Northwood High School.
Has Jessica been retained? Okay.
And she didn't fix it. She couldn't fix it.
I think he was needing to look into.
I'm not sure. You can't move those cameras around. They have an address to that site. We've tried it before to take it from, just it's on a closet and try to take it to those high traffic areas, and it wouldn't work because the address didn't match up. So it's not like you can move them around. So if Tony can't fix them, which I don't think he can, no fault of his own. I think it's just, they can't be fixed, that it has to be the purchase of a new camera. And I don't know where they are in the phases of phasing out that camera.
Okay. It just always concerns me when a camera's out.
Yeah. It's Murphy's Law, right?
Especially, oh, yeah.
It's Murphy's Law. Yeah, every
Yeah, I
time.
remember when we had the fire at the school, that you were principal there.
I was there that night. Where was Mr. Hines? Molotov
Yeah.
cocktail. Yeah.
I was there with the EMS, and the, camera wasn't working.
Yep.
Couldn't find out who did it.
Yeah.
And
the lighting on the outside of the building wasn't working either.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it really concerns me when there's a camera out.
Is it the cameras or
Could the
the
company,
the cameras itself? It's not the.
could the company tell us how we could change the address?
I wouldn't know the
I
answer to
wouldn't know the
that.
answer to that either.
I mean, I would
That's a
think that,
Jessica Tony question.
Yeah, I would say Tony's on it. I'll double check and see, because
yeah.
not being here last week, it was
Because
the,
I mean,
it was just the
I would
13th, I
it
think.
could be changed, and we could have an extra camera,
Yeah, I'll see where they are with that.
to be able to put in, because, well, I can't imagine it's a one and you're done.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a fix for it. I'll find out what they're doing.
Okay.
I noticed on the work orders again, lots and lots of toilet leaks. What's going on?
I don't know. It's just an older building.
But it's not just one building.
Well, it's mostly East Hardy Elementary Schools where we're having a lot of them.
True.
But the wax rings are going bad, the flush valves are going bad. It's just, I mean, it's just used.
Wax
It's
rings.
just
Is
used.
it
It's
just
just wax.
age?
And
And
things,
not-
things aren't made like they used to be made. They're just not. And when you overuse something, we buy commercial grade everything, but over time, it just wears out. We find things all the time that the custodians don't find. And it's just over usage of whatever those small parts are with inside those toilets. And it's just, they're used a lot.
Imagine how many times they're used a day.
Well, and I mean, along with that overusage, but how many kids are kicking with their foot
Well,
because they
that's
don't
what
want
I'm
to touch it with
wondering,
their
how
hand?
much of it
I'm not
is-
going to monitor it, but I'm sure it happens quite often, so you get somebody kicking or they take a fist and they bang a urinal, I'm sure those things happen. So they're just not made for those type of things.
Part of that
Long as-
valve, part of what ESG is doing too is a lot of
Yeah,
the
there's a
flow
lot of- so
stuff.
that's
So
on the
some of
water
that's, some of that'll be done through their water conservation piece, yeah.
Within the sinks as well.
Flow.
Up in the dam.
Yeah, they're doing the
I
flow,
mean, just in water
which is supposed to
leaking
save money,
everywhere.
so.
Speaking of water, is that water leak at East Hardy Elementary contained? Is that fixed and we're not gonna get any more?
ER ran a new
$3,000?
line. They ran a new line into there. Yeah. So from the meter to the building, that leak is fixed.
Okay.
Yeah. And Barbie hasn't given me a heads up on any numbers lately, so that's the only way we would know. But we're
Okay.
getting ready to, we haven't done it already. We've already shut that line down to winterize it for the winter since East Hardy's.
Who was our architect for the high school when we redid?
Was it Williamson Shriver?
Williamson Shriver.
You're out of
And
time.
who was the engineer?
I don't know. It's probably the same firm.
same
I'd say
firm.
they did it all in-house.
I was thinking that we had a different, maybe it was.
I don't know. That was before
ZMM.
me. No, I don't think ZMM's who we use now. I don't think it was ZMM. We can find out, I'm
I can go look
sure,
at the-
but
I can look at the
Yeah,
panel. We
need
can
to
look at the
and-
panel. It'll
we
tell you
need
on the
to-
panel.
We need to look and see.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's.
You know.
Williamson Shriver.
was
I think
right
they're-
there, and I think it was
Oh,
an
yeah.
in-house.
I think
engineer.
they do it all together.
Yeah.
But it was before
we
my
can look
time.
on
I'd
the,
have to-
bronze
Well,
plate
maybe
and
we ought
stuff.
to
Dig.
call Williamson and Shriver.
Yeah.
If they're so stupid to put something, and I'm glad to say that again, to put something on the side of a building and at a roof that none of the components are waterproof.
Yeah.
I mean, they have errors and emissions insurance,
Yeah.
Wonder if other buildings designed and built by them had the same problem.
I don't know.
Next time, let's see, February, when we're at Morgantown, let's talk to the representative there and say, who else has a leaky roof?
Well, we're at the end of 25, it was opened in 15, so we might still be in that 10-year window.
I thought it was 7.
I don't know, 10-year on the roof is, well.
It's only people at Williamson Shriver too.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
get
it is
young
probably
guys
only
now.
people, but
Well,
Can certainly ask.
Didn't the two kind of split up?
Uh,
There
I
was a
think the old-
group in
I just
that.
know they're
When
not
we
there
interviewed
anymore,
them, the
sure.
older guys moved on and the younger guys moved on.
Yeah. I would contact them, hey, you can quote me. I'm glad to tell them. I mean, if I would expect them to tell me I was a little on the stupid side to do something like that.
well, I think we probably need to get a written report of exactly what the structural makeup is, so that it specifies like this is the material that's used here, here, and here. If we can get that in writing from the roof company, we could share it with them, because they're not going to take our word for it. They're going to want to see it, like, well, what actually is
The
it?
See?
downside is, I don't know, those roof guys they're seasonal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we
Well,
if we can
but
get
they
something
know
from them.
whether- But
Yeah.
they know whether
I'm just saying,
something's
getting them on the
waterproof.
job now is gonna be a little
Well,
tough.
they know
Yeah.
whether something's waterproof or not. I
Mhm.
mean, I'd call them.
Yeah.
I'd
We
call
just need a
them and
written
see
report.
if
We
they'd
can do that.
come, because, they're forever wanting business.
Yeah. We will see what we can do.
Plus, it's gonna cost us money lots of money to take care of it. They should be
Thank you, John.
responsible.
Thanks, Josh. Okay, so next up, champion school recognition for our high schools.
Jarrett, Monica, and Derek, and Amanda are here with us this evening. We really appreciate you guys coming. CFWV, which is College for West Virginia, does a classification of schools basically that meet certain criteria. And that, you don't understand it? I'm just picking on you. I'm just picking on you. They have reached superior level of that recognition, which is called a champion school status. Am I saying that correctly? And I really appreciate them for doing this, because a few years back I had gone to the Board of Governors ceremony with through my role at Eastern, and there were schools that were recognized for this. And I think I came back and said something to Mr. Dayton like, hey, and you too, I think I sent him, and I was like, I would love for us to reach this. And they just got right on it and made it happen. And I really appreciate them working hard, because it is something they have to go above and beyond their normal duties. But it consists of college application and exploration week that they have to hold, FAFSA completion campaign that they have to run at their schools, and then a college decision day that they have to hold at their schools. And I don't know if you two want to add anything to what that looks like, or what the expectations are, but I know you work hard to pull those things off.
The only thing I want to add in is that our staff is also super helpful with that. Like, they give us the opportunity to have the students come do the FAFSA day and college decision day and all that stuff. And teachers don't always like to lose class time, so like they're willing to do that because they know it benefits the kids. So they also deserve a little.
Yeah, that is very helpful.
And Monica does an excellent job of communicating, through Facebook. I had to tell her the one day, leave me alone, because I think I had to do three different all calls in like 3 straight days. I'm like, these people are going to be like, Mr. Parks, please quit calling the house.
Yeah.
But she does an excellent job of, communicating, reaching out to the kids. So big kudos to Monica.
Well, and the FAFSA is not easy to fill out either.
That's one of the things. So you have to increase it by 5% from the prior year or meet a 60% goal. I don't know what East Hardy is, but we don't have 60% of our students go to college.
Yeah, right.
Like a 2 or 4 year. We have a lot that go to trade school. Right now we're at like 10 to 15% for military. So, and then you add in workforce, so that's even less. So it's very difficult to meet the 60%. So we increase it, and I think East Hardy as well. It's like 15% from the prior year.
We were in the 15, 17, I don't remember. They showed us at the champion thing. I was like, oh, I didn't know we increased it that much, gosh.
So you get to go to, it was Charleston, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was it in Charleston that they had your ceremony? So they went along with one of their school administrators, and they were recognized and given a certificate and award for reaching that level. And I just really wanted to bring them here in front of you guys to say an official thank you so much for all you do, because it is really above and beyond that that got them to get this recognition. So thank you. We appreciate you. And I'd like to take a picture if I can for the paper and the Facebook page. Can I take a picture? Sure. Of you guys? And I can do it. Actually, we'll just do it right here in front of the Hardy County School thing.
And if you guys get a chance, you should check out Mr. Dayton's podcast on the FAFSA.
Super Bowl 85, there's victory.
We'll have a flag this year.
All right, ready? Is that the year they did the song?
Oh, yeah, the rap.
Kick for both sides.
Thank you. No, you're good. Thank you all so much.
Sorry, you guys had to
Thank
wait.
you.
Bye now.
See you later. Thanks again.
No public comments. Okay, we don't have any public comments, so
Thank you, Mrs.
we'll move on to our consent items, which are our board minutes from November 17th and our special board minutes from November 20th. Have a motion and a second to approve the consent items. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And we're approved 4-0. There's no unfinished business. Under new business, we have approval of bus purchase or potential bus leasing, which is attachment 3. And that's the document that talks about all the bells and whistles, right?
Yep. And you guys had asked kind of for a recommendation on leasing versus not leasing. And so Sarah's worked through a
Right.
scenario. Oh, but motion. Sorry. Motion to approve. Yeah.
Lady with the magic touch.
Motion to approve, Melvin.
So we're going to need a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve bus purchase orders. Thank you.
I just kind of recap some of the information that we had discussed at the budget retreat. At the top there, I just, brought to your attention again the number. We have 14 buses over the 12-year age limit, or age on those, and 25 buses that are 12 years and younger. So then, just to give you an idea of our bus allowance that we receive each year, I went back to the school year of 2019. That was as far back in the legal system as I could go, but that shows you how our allowance has gone pretty much since 19. It's increased with a couple years where it went down a few thousand, but overall. And then I just showed you what we talked about at the budget retreat. Again, have we, like a bus that we had purchased in FY13, over the 12 years of reimbursement based on the state bid that they receive, which we talked about, is usually from Thomas. Is that the lower end? Thomas Bus, usually wins the bid with the state because they're the lowest, so that's what the reimbursement is based on. Over the 12-year period, we get 1/12 of that. Each year it's updated, but we get 1/12 of that for that year, times the number of buses we have that's 12 years or younger. So for a bus that we would have purchased in FY13, with taking that state bid amount for the 12 years after that, we would have been reimbursed $3,325 in addition to what we paid, because we usually pay more than what that bid comes in at. And then just to show you the difference, for the buses that we purchased in FY21, and of course we haven't gone 12 years from then, so I'm assuming that the 8 years remaining of reimbursement on those is at least what it was in FY25. We would have been reimbursed $64,291 in addition to what we paid for those buses, just because of the inflation and the increase in the cost of the buses. So depending on when you purchase them, if the rates increase, what the bid comes into at the state, all of those are factors in what our reimbursement will be. Because each year, when that bid comes in, we're reimbursed for that year. The next year, even though if we purchased the bus in the prior years, we get reimbursed by the new bid amount for that year. So it does increase over time. When we looked at financing the buses, the interest on a 3-year term was $55,000 divided by the 3 buses, which we had it based on. You would be considering $18,552 of interest. And there, I showed you for a 4-year term and a 5-year term as well. 4-year term being a little over $22,000 in interest per bus, and a 5-year being almost $27,000 per bus. So you can look at it different ways. Had you purchased and financed one of those buses in FY13, you still would have been paying about $15,000 of interest above and beyond any additional reimbursement on those. If you had leased them in FY21, you'd still be coming out about $30-some thousand ahead, even after you pay the interest on those buses. So it's kind of a, if you're in a spot where you need buses, then I would say yes, by all means. I don't think we're gonna, lose a bunch, because I think that the cost will continue to increase. And I don't think it's a bad rate right now on the interest. If we're in a spot where we feel secure within our fleet, then I say we buy what we can buy with what we have. We had a lot of changes, a lot of SBA projects going on, the new ESG project. If we want to stay steady for a year and just purchase what we can with these funds, then I don't think there's anything wrong with that and evaluating where we are next year. The only downfall is with $284,000, if you have to have a special ed or handicap bus, I think you're only gonna be able to purchase one bus. Because the handicap bus was $176,000, I think was the estimate. Do you guys have that? I think it was $176,000.
And the other was 150, I believe. The only thing that concerns
So
me,
you're gonna be short if you're.
I don't have any issue. I think every driver should have a new bus.
That'd be great.
It would be. The only thing that concerns me, if you buy 4 buses and you're using your bus replacement money to make those payments for the next 4 years, we'll say, if we do it for 4 years, most of your bus replacement money is going to go to paying that loan, and you're going to be left out in 2 or 3 years and not be replacing any buses.
So that's your fleet, yeah, just depending on what that state bid comes into.
Well,
I
the
mean,
state
if-
bid isn't gonna be cheaper than it's gonna be now.
Right, but our bus allowance increases. as it
Right, I agree,
increases. So we
I
could
agree.
potentially, I mean, it just.
Could,
Could. There's no guarantee.
exactly right.
There's no guarantee.
You don't
I
want the
mean,
state
there's
bid to
some
go up,
counties-
yeah.
I mean, there's about 20 counties, I think, that, and that's what they do every year. They lease every year, and they think it's, you know, the greatest thing ever. And then there's, you know, others that.
Does
have
it,
thought-
does it affect our insurance? Or is it all the same,
I mean, I think.
whether you lease or?
It's all the
I think
same.
the only thing that would potentially affect it would be if we had a bunch more, but yeah, leasing versus purchasing. Is that what you meant, just the difference between leasing and purchasing?
So if we
I think
bought
that
2
affects
regular
it.
buses and a handicap, you're looking at what, 400 and,
That was the example I gave you, I think, when that budget retreat, I think it ended up being 400,
yeah, and we have 311 in bus replacement now.
284,
Yeah.
284,000, I believe.
I thought we showed us a 311.
Oh.
284, 552.
Right.
Yeah. I'm
So
sorry.
we do have
With what we
311,000.
had left over from 25 carrying forward, the total was 311.
So you're looking at
Sorry.
100 and something out of county funds if you bought 3 buses.
What will that do to us next year? That's my question. Like, will we be
Well,
able
next
to-
year, you're using all your bus replacement money. You
Right.
get your bus replacement money next year.
Goes directly into those 3 buses that we just purchased.
If we're doing it by lease,
Right.
Now, if you
at
buy,
least the lease payment would.
yeah, you wouldn't be able to use your
There
bus
wouldn't be enough
replacement.
money to purchase another bus.
You would have the,
So we
you would have
fall
the
back into
difference
that
of the,
whole down the
Exactly.
road 12 years from now.
Exactly, that you're,
Right.
that's the only thing that scares
Yeah.
me.
That
Having been
scares
there
me
when that
too.
happened,
Right.
you know, that's not a good thing.
Well, and that's what I walked into, and I
Right.
tried to fix the first time, and I think we're sitting pretty good. I hate to talk people out of what I think's great, but looking at the future.
and we had talked earlier and thought that it might just be best with all we've done this year to just kind of sail through without and
Well-
see where we land. We've done a lot of business this year.
And I hate to load up the county with more debt at this point. You know, we spent a lot of money lately.
So will you have enough to get the 2 with the 311? How much was
That's
the
what I
other
was trying
one?
to do the math in my head. I can't buy a handicap and buy.
So you're just gonna have to get the one
So
and
what's
then
the
the
total
next year
amount?
buy a couple.
With the 2 buses.
326, so it'd be like 15,000 short, $20,000 short. Just, I'm rounding numbers.
Right.
So 150 and 176, but you 326. So we're about $15,000 off.
For
Yeah.
3 buses.
For 3 buses,
Right.
these 3.
So the 2,
Yeah, you can't
a
get 3.
special needs and a regular bus would be
Like 325.
320.
About 15,000 short,
Right.
which we could do out of county money.
Yeah,
176 for the special ed.
Well, I would think
so it'd be
that the
300.
county could pick up that 15,000.
That didn't come through.
That came up too. Well,
Anyway, 176 for special ed.
What happened in fiscal year, 24? Or is that just a typo? It says 341, 711.
That's when it increased, probably, the cost.
Our bus replacement money went up,
Yeah.
because the bid price went up, and when that goes up, how much we get
And
for
then
those
the
buses
following
that they
year, I think we
calculate
lost
goes
4
up.
buses off of the formula.
They were too old.
Mhm.
We had 4 in 1 year, I think we lost off. Went back
Okay,
down, didn't have any that replaced them for next year.
okay.
So we want to,
Could I make a motion?
thank you.
I'd make a motion to buy 1 regular 77 passenger bus, 1 special needs bus as you need, and whatever the balance is, the county picks up out of general fund.
So we have to vote on James' motion first. No.
Yeah.
It just that.
So you have a motion?
Yes.
Yours, I'll second.
Okay, and so our motion is for 3 buses total,
2 buses.
Just 2 buses,
Special
one
ed.
77 and one handicap bus. Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And it's approved 4-0.
Thank you, Sarah.
So we're no refund, we'll do tonight.
So we're gonna purchase them outright.
Not lease them, correct.
Okay, now we're at board members superintendent discussion. No action may be taken.
I have the November 2025 Pro Report. It is just from Deputy Scheit because Deputy Riggleman said that he did not have an update for us, that had been nothing eventful happened. He was off today to just let you know that he didn't have anything to share for November. So passing that one on, and if he has anything additional, I'll bring it to you at the next meeting. That one's pretty simple. ESG cost breakdown that you had asked for. So I'm going to give you paper clipped together 2 pages. The top one indicates the 4.25% interest rate that we got and the payment amounts. And the second page was the quoted 4.38%. And I think you guys had asked to see, based on what we had quoted, this will be the new structure. And overall, it saves us about $48,000. So you can see on there, this is from Audra. Up at the top left-hand corner, it shows you the percentage. The amount financed, of course, stays the same. And then you'll see the breakdown in payment amounts that's broken down for you there at the bottom, all over in red. Any questions about that?
And when is it that they're going to tell us how much we're gonna save?
So they do official annual reports that are certified, but they're going to give us quarterly updates. They said they don't typically do that because it's not going to be a certified but they will give us an update on based upon this amount of time, this is what your savings is going to be.
Okay,
They'll give us estimated quarterly reports.
okay. I thought that's what she said, but.
Yeah, and that's all.
Sure.
That's all I had.
Okay. Yes. Good. Couple things. You remember when we talked about some scores and they were 0%? And I said, how in the world could they be 0?
Yes, and I'm supposed to get all that back to you.
Did you see what was going on with that?
I did, Dixie, but I don't have it in front of me. Can I
It's
send it to you
okay.
tomorrow?
That's no problem. I just,
Yeah, thank you for the
that
reminder.
0%.
Mm-hmm.
And those one where we saw that we were on 3 of them, are they working on that?
They haven't reached out to us to do anything with this yet, but we are. Yes, we are working on it. It was our EL and low SES, I think, were the 2 areas that we're on watch for. Yeah.
And then the children with disabilities.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just didn't know where we were with that.
Not very good guesses, were they?
Well, even a blind squirrel gets a nut, so it's just hard for me to believe that it was 0. So.
Yeah, I think it was. I don't want to tell you wrong, but let me get it off of my email and get it to you.
It's okay.
I forgot.
It's no problem. Okay, you've
I
got
just
so
had one
much
little
on your
thing.
mind.
I met 2 new parents today that just enrolled their students in Warfield Elementary. And their first thing to me was, why don't we have a working gym? And I said, well, the gym is usable.
Mhm.
To their understanding, they aren't using that building.
They have used it.
Are they using it on a daily basis for a gym or?
They were supposed to be using it on a daily basis.
Would you check to make sure that it is being
Sure.
used? Because her comment was that, well, they were Mr. A was trying to get funding for that floor. And I said, well, part is true. And that's the reason it wasn't being used,
Yeah.
because there's no floor. Just want to make sure that it is being used.
Sure. I had a conversation with him in person probably 2 months ago now about that gym floor. And it's when we talked about going forward with the SBA stuff. And he told me that he was holding off on using it because he was worried at that time that the community, if he started using it as a gymnasium for the school, that the community would want access to it. And he didn't want that floor any more damaged until it was completed. And so he was holding off on that. And I told him he didn't have to open it up to communities to sign out and use it like they do all of our other gyms, that if he just wanted to use it for gym class to do that. And he said, oh, okay, well, I just assumed. And I said, no. And he said, all right, well, we'll start using it. And that was a couple months ago. So I'll call him and see what's going on. But
Make sure that you would.
yeah. I will.
That's all I have.
Anybody else have anything? Okay, moving on. Anything for future agenda items? Okay, under announcements, our next meeting's December 15th at 5 o'clock, and it'll be at Moorfield High School.
Ask the choir to sing.
Just one thing there, if we could maybe get the principals, some of the students I know that they can highlight when we come to their schools for a meeting.
Yeah, we're going to ask the choir to sing for us. That's what we
Good.
do there
We need-
typically. But
Any school that we visit, I think it's important if they have
I
some
agree.
students that, and I know they're students that they should be proud of.
Mhm.
Oh my, yes. Yeah, it's kind of frustrating when you're at the school and you're by yourself.
Well, and sometimes even the principal's not there,
Mhm.
or teachers. Come on, folks.
They're tickled to see us.
Jay's here.
Okay, mission statements and accomplishments. What do we have?
East Ready High School football, great season. Ended up losing to Pendleton County, but that was an awesome game.
It was in
Overtime.
overtime, wasn't it?
Uh-huh.
One point.
No, they ended up scoring a touchdown. It was, I don't remember exactly,
Yeah.
35 to whatever.
Yeah,
But
and then
it was still an exciting game. It
And
was-
then Pendleton County lost.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
anybody have anything else?
Well,
The champion high schools,
school,
that's
absolutely,
wonderful.
absolutely,
Wonderful.
that definitely
Yeah.
deserves to be commended.
Absolutely, and I think it's great that, I personally think it's great that the guidance counselors are emphasizing trade schools and different things like that, not just catering to the students that want to go to college.
Yeah. They're doing a great job.
Recognizing the importance of CTE,
Oh,
absolutely.
absolutely. It's just great. So I'm excited that that's a job well done. So. All right, anybody else have anything? Next up is personnel. Do we need, an executive session for anything? To discuss any personnel?
I do not unless anybody else does. I do need to do one separately. I think number 13, I'll do first if that's okay.
Oh, I
Okay.
probably need to leave.
That's why I'm doing that one first. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Janet.
I hadn't looked at that. I'm
You
sorry.
just close your eyes. We're not gonna make you walk outside, out there.
Okay. I don't know. I'll go out, make it legal.
Grab her chair. Don't let it roll.
DJ.
Ma'am, sir, Mr. Hines.
Fence. What about the fence?
My-
Nice grip.
What about the fence?
8-foot fence.
You were asking me about the fence around the site? Okay,
I'll let you.
okay, that sounds good.
All righty.
I'll give you the honest answer, the correct answer after the meeting, Mr. Hines.
All right, I'm going to recommend Jefferson Darby Clayton as a volunteer for team support personnel for wrestling for Moorfield High School.
Motion to approve.
A motion and a second to approve, Jefferson Darby Clayton, as a volunteer team support personnel for wrestling, is recommended by the superintendent. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So approved 3-0, and one board member left the room because
Yeah.
this is her grandson.
Abstain.
Son.
Her
Son.
son, okay.
Does somebody want to get her?
You can come back now.
She might have gone to the bathroom. Orin wanted to stand up anyway.
Oh my goodness, did you see that?
All right. I recommend the approval, of Kimberly Mungold, leave of absence for December 5th through the 2025 through December 21st, 2025. Teresa Myers, days without pay for December 15th through the 17th, which is 3 days. I recommend the approval of the service personnel hiring for Dallas Bohr as a substitute aide countywide. Danita Lambert, substitute aide countywide. Jillian Bowers, substitute clerk countywide. Danita Lambert, substitute cook countywide. Jillian Bowers, substitute custodian countywide. Recommend the approval of the professional personnel hirings for Rebecca Markwood, substitute teacher countywide. Tia Ray, restricted short-term substitute countywide. I'll recommend the approval of the professional personnel extracurricular hirings of Joanne Dove, substitute teacher for the 21st CCLC after-school program, and Laura Kessner is a substitute teacher for the 21st CCLC after-school program. I'll recommend the approval of the volunteer Clint Nazelrod, volunteer team support personnel for archery at Moorfield High School. I recommend the approval of Amber Shockey's resignation from CCLC after-school program substitute teacher effective November 21st. Andrew Kessner, substitute maintenance countywide effective December 1st. And I recommend the termination of Kevin Miller as a substitute bus operator countywide for failure to complete requirements to maintain substitute status effective December 1st.
Move to approve.
Have a motion and a second on the floor to approve the recommended personnel actions from Dr. Van Meter. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And personnel is approved for. A motion to adjourn, is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And we're adjourned 4-0 at 6:30.